different. It's different. Look, it's different. It's different. I got a different type of.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Rob's Card Addict. This is episode 8. I'm going to be honest, this is the third take. I have started trying some new tools, and you'll see that in this episode. But I got a new microphone, which I showed last episode. Still getting used to that. But we are back with a bigger episode than we usually do. It's longer. And the reason is that I decided we're going to go over what the financials have been since I started this journey back in 2024, uh, which you're going to see the first 2 years were not easy. But then you're also going to see what 2026 has been, and 2026 has been a lot better. And I expect the year to really unfold the same way throughout. So really looking forward to having that conversation. We also sold some cards in the last few days. I want to share what those look like. I'm not sharing all the cards. I had like 3 days worth of sales that I packed up, and I was like, hey, let me throw this together and put it on the episode and show kind of what has been selling. And it's really been a lot of baseball. There's been a little bit of basketball mixed in. Football still isn't trending well. I think the last episode I also showed one of the Pokemon cards that we got. We put that on eBay. That sold pretty quickly, so that's getting shipped out as well. Um, so yeah, and then later in the episode, we also talk about like who I am as a person and the journey that I'm on and what I want to do with this channel. So I'm really looking forward to continuing these episodes and seeing what we can get from it. But we'll talk more about that. And then I also wanted to let y'all know the kittens are still here. They're still in the backyard, and we'll put up a video kind of what that looks like. And no judging me on my shed. I got to redo the floor out there, and I was planning on doing it this past couple weeks, but that has been put on hold because of them. And they are not our kittens. We're going to need to get rid of them at some point and have somebody come out and get them or take them somewhere or do something with them. But just wanted to show what they're out there. They are very cute. I am an animal person, but I've got enough animals in this house and a soon-to-be 10-year-old that's enough. So, and then finally, I also wanted to share that my wife's a big fan of Temu. I am not necessarily. There's some good deals that can be found, and we bought some stuff for supplies and things like that. But I stumbled across these card cases, which I really love. And don't get me wrong, like they're not going to protect your card if you drop it or anything like that. I don't think they're that strong, or if they're magnetic, they kind of just pop open and close. But they make these cards look so much better when they're color matched. So I got the orange for the Joe Burrow Fireburst. And then I also got a red one for my Ellie De La Cruz Tops silver pack. So makes them look so much better, especially when you're displaying them. You can see in the back that I got some white ones as well. Those were really generic. I got like 6 for like $5 or something like that. So it does make them look better. And if they do happen to drop, those will, I think, protect them a lot better than the colored ones. But um, that's okay. These look better. Uh, so yeah, that's it for me. We're going to talk about our next steps as we go through the video, but I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you at the end. Thanks, everyone. All right, everyone. So here we are today. We got some orders over the last few days. I think this is about 3 days worth of orders. So we're going to go ahead and package these up, and I'm just showing you off what we kind of sold. We got a Derek Jeter here on the Cracker Jack. We got the Chipper Jones from the 96 Pinnacle. This is the Christy Brinkley collection that sold for about $10. And we got the Shohei Ohtani on the tops, Allen and Ginter from 2022. That was $2. This Sammy Sosa, this is the metal skybox. This sold for $2. This Reggie Jackson tops sold for $2. This Donruss Dakota Hudson sold for $1.75. This Kenny Lofton, which I have another one myself in my collection in my PC. This sold for $5. This is the piece of the game used bat from Kenny Lofton. We got the Paulo Banchero on the Donruss Optic Hollow that sold for $1.50. This was a two-pack. Scottie Pippen. This is on the career best game for NBA hoops, and then we also have the NBA hoops, the big finish on the back. So the way I do it is if I have two or three cards, I will package them in this, package it like this, and then ship it by plain white envelope if it still qualifies. I've never had an issue with it. Still works. Protects them pretty well. So this is the Prism Peyton Pritchard that sold for $1.50, $1.75. We have two Tom Brady's here that we packaged. These sold for $1.75 each, so $3.50 total. We got the Puka Nakua on the shock, the black or green and black on the shock. That sold for $2. And then this is the Gardevoir EX. I showed it in a previous video, I believe. We put it up for 85. It sold same day for 85. So very happy with that. We'll get those packaged up and ready to get shipped out. All right, everyone. So we saw the cards that we got packed up and shipped out today. Some really good orders that's been pretty steady here. And we can see here, I'm going to show you, this is my first time using OBS, kind of a new setup so you can see what I've been doing for the last little over 2 years, what the sales have been like, where I look, and the areas that I focus on. So if you're starting a new sports hobby where you're collecting sports cards and you want to start flipping and selling, fantastic. I am a big fan of eBay. I know a lot of people have concerns about eBay with what is it, eBay and stuff like that. But really, there is no place that you can go to and have the amount of traffic that you have on eBay. So you got to take into consideration what the fees are and what the challenges are with any platform. I think when you're selling it, even if you have an issue with eBay and you just want to be a live seller, there's issues and downsides to that, and there's upsides as well. But really, when it comes to eBay, you know where you stand. Your pricing is pretty consistent. You can go back and look to see what the sales prices are. You also know you're going to get a lot of traffic if you do it right, and there is some keys to doing it right. And we're not going to go over that in this video, but I think if you put the time and effort in, you can figure out how to build a good business or a good side hustle in terms of selling sports cards. So really where I focus on is a couple different areas, and I do have a spreadsheet and I'll share that out here in a minute. But if you go to your home page and you go to the traffic, listing impressions is really important to me. That tells me how many times my inventory is coming up when people are searching things. Right now we're actually down, and it's not too much of a surprise. We see a dip this time of the year, and then also there was a pretty good period of time where I wasn't posting anything. And then also right before that, we had a lot of auctions that drew a lot of eyes on our stuff. So listing impressions going down is not a surprise, but I'd like to be around that 800,000 impressions for the last 30 days. Click through rate is usually at 0.3%. Right now it's at 0.5%, so I think that's really positive as well. Listing page views, even though our impressions are going down, our listing page views are going up, which is a positive because while people are not searching necessarily, our stuff's not coming up in the searches, they are coming to our site and looking at our actual page. Fantastic there. And then sales conversion rate, 4.6%. That really tells me that we're seeing an increase there because we're starting to put some quality items up. As I mentioned earlier, most of our inventory is approximately like $1.50, $2 cards. We got like 5,000 cards that are up there for $1.75 or $2. And a lot of people are not going to click on those. Those are going to come up potentially in the listing impressions, but it's not really going to generate a lot of sales unless somebody's looking specifically for that card or that player. And so we should see the sales conversion rate hopefully increase as our quality increases as well. Then if you look over on the sales, you can see that we've had sales pretty consistently for the last 31 days as well. For the last 7 days, we've sold $279.34. The last 31 days, $1,578. That's down 37%. Again, that goes back to we had the month before we had a lot of cards that were on that we did on auction. And so we saw a big sales increase there. And then for the last 90 days, we had over $5,000 in sales. So really good month for the last month. But I'm going to show you where we actually track it for month to month and for the year over year results as well. So, all right, everyone. So here is my spreadsheet. Now, this is not a this is not an accounting spreadsheet. This is not meant to show anything to be professional. Like we're not. This is not me trying to track that. This is me trying to keep an. Really, at first, it was trying to figure out how much I was losing money. Right now, we're still in the negative year over year, but we're starting to slowly dig ourselves out of it. But you can see here. So we started this journey in 2024. We sold our first card in February, and that really was. If you go back and watch any of the earlier episodes, that was my son trying to get into Pokemon. His friends started getting into it. He quickly fell out of it, but it got me bitten by the bug again. I got my childhood sports cards sent to me from my stepdad's house. Started selling those. Started selling some Pokemon cards, and started buying some boxes. And I will tell you, if I had to do it all over again, I would do it completely different. And there's plenty of videos out there of how, if you're starting up a business, what you should do. I would say listen to a lot of different people and do what makes sense for your financial status. Do not overextend yourself. Spend the money that you have available to spend, especially with the side hustles. For most people, this is not a business. This is not something that you're doing 9 to 5. I got a job that I spend 50 to 60 hours a week doing, and I do this because I really enjoy it. I always wanted to have my own business. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Never really had the opportunity, and never really wanted to have the risk. So, this is probably the biggest risk that I'm willing to take, and just want to see how it shakes out and kind of build my PC and have some fun. So you can see here, I started tracking my expenses. We we were negative almost the entire year. We had one positive month in July, as we were spending money, spending money, spending money, spending way too much money. We were spending money on breaks. We were spending money on a lot of different stuff. Again, if you go back and watch other people's videos, they will tell you if you're trying to collect or you're trying to flip, if you're trying to make a business out of this or any sort of profit, um, you don't want to do breaks. You don't want to do boxes. And I was doing a lot of that. So I didn't have any real upside. And then July, I made $126. And that's just because we sold more than, and we didn't really spend a whole lot. Right. Then we started losing money again until December. December, we made $160. But again, we didn't really spend any money. So, um, but if you see our net sales, they're 240, 360, 275. Like we're making like 200 and between 200 to $350 a month on sales. And then November we didn't do anything because it's a holiday, but it was a negative $3,450 a year. Impressions, I think we're okay. We started building up, and you could see that increasing for the most part. But I will tell you, there's an argument of whether or not there is an algorithm when it comes to eBay. Ty Wilson does a fabulous job over on Chasing Cardboard, and he says whether there is or not, and I do think there is, but whether there is or not, consistency beats any algorithm. If you put up cards on a month to month basis, you're going to start getting an increase in impressions, an increase in listing views, things like that that are going to drive your business. So make sure you are being consistent and that you're continuously putting up new product. That doesn't mean you have to do it day to day, every single day. It's not necessarily feasible for everybody, but as much as you can and be consistent about it. Carve out a plan and make sure that you stick to it. So the first year we ended with a little under 2 million impressions. We had 14,000, almost 15,000 listing views, and we sold almost 550 cards. The click through rate was abysmal at 0.9%, and our sales conversion for the year ended up at 3.4. So That leads us into 2025. 2025 wasn't too much better. We started off the same as we did in 2024, and we started losing money largely because we were buying a lot of cards and not necessarily being wise about how we were spending money. Our sales did increase. So you can see here for the most part, the beginning of the year, we had net sales anywhere from like almost 500 to $750. Um, but we were still spending more money than we were bringing in, which is an issue when you're trying to make a dollar and make a profit. Then we got into June. We started really, this was at a point where I think a lot of people get to, and it's a decision of whether you want to continue. And when you're losing money over money over money, it sucks. And it's hard when you got a family to feed. You got people to answer to about why are you spending so much money, and you got bills that are coming in, and there's priorities, right? So uh, at some point in June, I slowed down. I stopped spending so much money, took care of the bills, but then you can see that our profits dropped as well. So $28, $200, like we were barely bringing in $100 at any given point. Profit margin was still pretty decent for the most part, but it was not a great year either. We ended up $1,100 in a hole. Now we did grow the business in terms of impressions and stuff like that. So we ended the year with over almost 6 million impressions, 22,000 listing views. We sold 979 cards. We still had a zero point 0.3 click through rate, which is not great. I think that's just, for me, that's like the worst that you want to do is a 0.3%. It's gotten better. And then a sales conversion rate of 4.1%, which we saw was, I think, an increase over the previous year. Now, bring that into 2026. And this is really where I started tracking everything to begin with and really emphasizing that we needed to have a strategy and how to build that strategy. So the strategy is that we're going to spend money on cards that we know we can make a profit. We're not going to go out and buy bulk stuff for the most part. We're not going to go buy off of eBay for the most part. Like if you see the eBay cards that I bought this year, most of those are for my PC. They're for the Joe Burrow 2021 Prism that I'm trying to build out. Most everything else is on Whatnot. And every once in a while, I'll find a good deal at the bookstore that is close by. It sells Pokemon cards. I'll go in there every once in a while and find something that's undervalued, and I'll buy it and flip it. That's my business, flipping cards. So really took a look there, and so far this year, knock on wood, it's worked. We've seen a much better. We've sold how many? We've had eBay sales of $4,770. That's our net sales, with a profit of $706. And for the most part, that is a profit every month outside of February, where we saw I made a couple large purchases in February, but I sold those in March. And so it really evened out to the point where we've had a net profit for the year. And we've also grown our PC. We got a couple of cards back there that are $100 plus cards, and we didn't have those previously. We had situations where if I counted up the back wall of what I have, and it's over $3,000. So if you take that, just that alone, not including any of the other inventory, but it's about a $3,000 value right there. That's a pretty good PC. I'm not embarrassed about that PC, and I was embarrassed by my PC when I first started, to be honest. And I made a comment on a thread that I was looking at. I was looking at somebody else's inventory or their PC, and I was like, "Oh, that's a fantastic PC." And I wish mine was like that. I was embarrassed and stuff like this. And the person was like, "Don't be embarrassed. Like we all start at the beginning, and we all can only afford like not everybody can afford these big cars. I couldn't, and it took me a long time to even start being able to buy some of this stuff. Um, so take it from me, you do you. You build the business or the side hustle that you want, that you can afford, that doesn't impact that you can put food on your table, doesn't impact your family, something that you feel comfortable with, and something that you enjoy. Because that's really what it comes down to is you have to be able to enjoy this. Because if not, then you're potentially putting your money at risk for no reason. for something that doesn't even make you happy. So, um, so sales went up this year. We've had a really good profit margin. We did our first sell and whatnot. Didn't go so great, but it was okay. I just don't have the inventory for whatnot to really build a show consistently, and I don't have the time. It takes a lot of time for whatnot, and I prefer eBay because I can just put it up on eBay and just let it go. Impressions have significantly increased. I think at the what is it? The end of 2024, we had under 2 million. January of this year, we had over a million impressions. We have 3.5 million through April, 15,000 listing views. We've sold 866 cards. So we're on track to sell more cards than we did last year. And we're only in April. And we're not going to slow down. Like this year, I don't think is going to be any point, like again, knock on wood, unless something happens. I don't see myself slowing down throughout the middle of the year like I did the last 2 years. I feel really comfortable with my business plan and what I'm looking to do and what I'm looking to build. So I think we're going to blow those last years out of the water, and we're going to end the year in profit. Uh, so click through rate was at 0.4%. Again, you see a couple months 0.3%. I think that's the standard for me. But there were some months where I had 0.5%, which is fantastic. That means that people are coming in and clicking on the impressions and actually coming to see what the cards I'm selling. So I should see that increase. And then the sales conversion rate is also going up. We got 5.1% for the year. Really, that was January. So I'm not surprised to see that. All right, everyone. That's the end of this episode. I know it's been a longer episode than it normally is, but I wanted to go through and kind of show where we've started off for the last little over 2 years and where we ended up for April. I guess we didn't technically talk about April's results, but you can see where we've been, and I think it's been a good journey so far, and we're starting to get some momentum and build this out. Um, if you have comments or feedback for what you'd like to see, I think I'm going to stick kind of with this format. I'm learning as I go with kind of building this episodes out, what it looks like, what the tools are available. But if you have comments or suggestions, recommendations, I'm always like just drop them in the comments section. Again, if you like the episode, please click like. It like I said when we started this is for me to track my journey, and I really do believe that. But I do want to build it out, and if people want to watch, great. I'm not necessarily the hoorah kind of person where I'm going to jump up and down and scream and things like that. But I think I feel like a lot of people probably are going through what I've gone through and wanting to build this out, feeling lonely. It's it's easy to watch these videos where people walk around and they talk to people and they go to card shows, and not everybody's like that. Like I've gone to one card show. Um, it's nervous to walk into a sports card shop and talk to people. I'm finally growing kind of out of that, and you would think I'm over 40 years old, you think that'd be easy. It's not, and it's not for everyone. So I feel like this is a safe space that I can kind of share my journey, and for those people who are in the same boat, they get to watch this. But if you have questions, let me know. If you have comments, let me know. Please subscribe. It just lets me know that you are enjoying these episodes. So again, appreciate you if you're still sticking around at the end of this. But we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everyone.